Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Channels Television celebrating 21 years of professional broadcasting.
The Smartphone Network.
And here are some pictures you sent to our eyewitness portal. Let's begin with this one from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, showing young men skating. Where are those pictures? There it is. Young men skating dangerously on a busy road. Our eyewitness reporter is worried that this act is spreading across the country and wants it nipped in the bud. Next is this one from Warri in Delta State, showing people whom our eyewitness reporter says are protesting an alleged disengagement of some workers without benefits. And this image of a flooded road is from Port Harcourt Road in Aba, Abia State. Our eyewitness reporter wants relevant authorities to fix this road, which according to him is giving residents great discomfort. And this picture is from Suleja in Niger State. It shows a school structure in bad shape. Our eyewitness reporter wonders how much learning is taking place here in this condition. Our final image is from the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja, showing a government agency vehicle blocking the road. Our eyewitness reporter wants such acts discouraged. We want to thank you so much indeed for sending in those pictures, as we ask that you keep them coming.
Airtel, the Smartphone Network.
The police in Ogun State have arrested a 40-year-old man, Francis Taiwo, for chaining his son, Korode, for over a month at a celestial church in the area. Mr. Taiwo, who claims to be ordained a pastor of the church in 2012, was arrested a day after his son was rescued by a team of security operatives in the state. Mr. Taiwo, who confirmed that he actually chained his son, told Channels Television that his actions were born out of his desire to rid the boy of his stealing habits.
Normally, a church should be seen as a place of refuge. But right here in Ajibawo community, this uncompleted church building, housing the Key of Joy Celestial Church, has become a house of horror. In this damp and dingy room lived 9-year-old Korode Taiwo, who was locked away from civilization and chained for almost a month by his own father, Francis Taiwo, the pastor of the church. Little Korode Taiwo was put in seclusion over an alleged stealing habit before he was rescued by officers of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps and handed over to the police.
A good Samaritan came to one of our officers who are on patrol of that place and told them about what is happening there.
Handcuffed is the man in the eye of the storm, Francis Taiwo. The 40-year-old, a native of Benin Republic, is led into the church premises by a detective from the Ogun State Police Command.
Listen, no, you can't sign anything.
The incident has been greeted with mixed reactions from members of the immediate community.
I come to surprise this environment. Who is that? Where is that church? They say the church somewhere there, down. I told the pastor when he comes back, we, the owner of the town, will have something to do with him.
At the Onikbanu police station, where he is being kept, the young Korode seems to be having a new lease of life. He narrates his experience in confinement. I steal because I'm hungry. I've not been fed well for 4 months. They give me food, but not all the time. His father, Francis Taiwo, tries to justify his inhuman act.
So when I was running about, I listened to some of my shepherd. So they said that I should use something. I even try, nothing. You get. So later, I decided maybe if I chain it down, you get, I will find the solution.
In the meantime, the Nigerian police force says investigations are on and promise to bring everyone involved in the act to justice.
Well, joining me on the news at 10 to discuss this rather disturbing story of a child being chained is Dr. Abiola Akiode, a woman and child rights activist. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at 10. What was your first reaction when you heard about this story, Korode being chained by his father?
Well, it was quite shocking. you would not expect any father in its right senses, to do that kind of thing. But I think that we can't take that issue in isolation, especially when you look at how children are being treated, across the country. I'm aware that in Akwa Ibom, for example, that this whole thing about children being taken as witches, wizards, and they're being tortured and beaten, and all manner of things happening to them. And if you look at that, then it's gradually becoming a pattern in the country. So it's an issue that we need to take very, very seriously. To the extent that the child was chained and they had to get a welder to actually cut off the chain, then you wonder, why would a father do that to his son?
Let's get to the bottom of this. The boy actually confessed he steals, but looking at what he steals, he's actually stealing food because he's hungry. How do you reconcile the father's action as a pastor or as a priest of a church trying to get rid of stealing from his child's system? Shouldn't he have prayed for his child, do you suppose?
Well, that's what should have expected, but there's actually no justification whatsoever for what he has done. And my own worry is also that if he is doing that to his own child, you can then imagine how many people in his church, that have suffered one form of violation or the other. There's no justification whatsoever for what he has done. The Child Rights Act is very clear about the role of the father to the child. He's put in his care, he's supposed to contribute to his development, he's supposed to provide food for him, he's supposed to provide a lot of other things according to the law of the land for him, and he has failed in his duty to be able to do that. And if you listen to the child, that's the reason why the child is stealing and trying to find a way of getting food to eat. So the father is actually responsible for the condition of the child. The child is a young boy, he's a 9-year-old boy, so the father is absolutely responsible. The parents.
So what would you say should be done at this point in time to his father, not only in this case, but similar cases like you did mention about children being molested, being abused for witchcraft?
I believe that this should serve as a deterrence, to other parents, so that we will understand that children in Nigeria, by virtue of Child Rights Act, by virtue of the Constitution, they also have a right to fundamental. They have fundamental human rights. They have a right not to be treated in a very inhuman way, the way Korede has been treated. So I think that this should serve as a deterrent. If you look at the Violence Against Persons Act, Section 2 is very clear. For somebody who violates physically another person in this manner, is liable to 5 years imprisonment. 5 years imprisonment. Yes, or fine.
I'll take that as your final words on this. Dr. Abiola Kinyode, I want to thank you so much indeed, a women's and child rights activist, and thanks indeed for your time and your thoughts on the news at 10. We're going to be shifting gears very quickly and take you to our Abuja studios where Gloria Umezweke is standing by to take us through. Gloria.
Hello, Gimba, good to see you and welcome to Abuja, the nation's capital. The Nigerian Labour Congress has condemned what it calls the increasing exploitation of Nigerian workers by multinational companies that prefer to engage workers on a casual basis. Addressing participants at a conference in Abuja, the president of the Congress, Comrade Ayuba Waba, says this practice by these companies has left scars on Nigerian workers. He also criticized the increasing gap between the rich and poor in the country, saying it portends danger for the nation if the situation is not urgently addressed. The
plight of workers takes center stage as the Nigerian Labour Congress convenes an African Campaign Coordinators meeting on taming the corporate powers in supply chain. President of the Nigerian Labour Congress sets the tone for the meeting as he advises government to address issues of casualization and cost of governance.
The issue of corporate greed is something that have also contributed immensely in widening the inequality gap. The rich have continued to be rich, while the poor have continued to be poor.
One after the other, speakers at the gathering condemned the policy of most employers on the plight of workers who they say are being impoverished.
When many of us started to work a few decades ago, work that was permanent is now casual work.
The global economy is simply failing. Unemployment and inequality are at historic levels. When you consider that GDP has trebled over the last 3 decades, but that our global workforce, our people, are in trouble.
Representative of the head of service and secretary to the government assures the workers of better working conditions.
The office of the head of civil service of the Federation will partner with the Nigerian Labour Congress to ensure that all issues concerning the welfare and the well-being of workers in Nigeria are accorded top priority and treated passionately.
The government of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, is committed to improving workers' welfare and the development of trade unions as partners in progress.
The one-day conference, which attracted participants from different parts of Africa, is aimed at addressing the plight of workers in order to improve their working conditions.
Staying with labour martyrs, over 800 health workers took to the streets today in Adamawa State, northeast Nigeria, over non-payment of their salaries dating back 2 years. The protesting workers say the situation has caused them untold hardship and are demanding for immediate payment of their wages. On its part, the state government says a lot of discrepancies was noticed during the verification exercise and will ensure the issues are resolved within 2 weeks. When the news at 10 returns, federal government unveils new oil benchmarks for the nation's medium-term expenditure framework. Well, that's in business news. Let's join us again.